All right. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's Backdrop Day again. I'm happy to be back after my excursions through various different states and countries. Yeah, now it's back to Backdrop. I like that. Back to Backdrop. Okay. So Backdrop's goals. We are working on Backdrop CMS because there's a cost that comes with change, and we're not sure that all of Drupal's existing market will be able to afford the change to Drupal 8. We're going to be working on a set of Drupal 8 comparable features on an architecture that's more similar to that of Drupal 7 so that existing sites can be migrated easily and existing developers will be able to understand Backdrop. Along the way, we're going to be fixing bugs. That's bugs from Drupal 7 as well as bugs from Drupal 8 and any other bugs that we find along the way. We're going to be simplifying existing systems when that doesn't require changing APIs very much to do so, and adding new features, same thing without having to change too many APIs. So our timeline, we're hoping to get Backdrop out this summer because Drupal 8's release date is, of course, getting pushed farther into the future. That does give us the opportunity to spend some more time making a stronger move forward, but we are also committed to getting this out soon so that we can have a steady base of contributed modules. So when people are getting ready to upgrade to 8, they'll have just as good an option with what they can do with their site on Backdrop. We are going to continue with further releases on a short period of time with Backdrop, so even after Backdrop 1 comes out, we'll be able to add new features in Backdrop 1.1 shortly thereafter, and hopefully that'll continue our progress moving forward. In terms of what we're working on right now, we've got a couple of major projects that are underway. Blocks and layouts has been getting a lot of love lately. And Nate, if you want to give us an update on where that stands, we'd love to hear from you on blocks and layouts.
Yeah, so blocks and layouts continuing to chug forward. It feels like I'm starting to make some real strong progress in terms of actually making it so that you can lay out an individual page. We've got it now, so doing things like setting up the layout and setting up the context and setting up the menu item have been working for a while. And just recently we got it to the point where you can now like place a block and configure a block, and it hooks into the existing block system. But what we're going to be doing is, I think for the initial iteration, is we're going to be leveraging the existing block system, so the same like hook block info and things like that. And we're going to be just making it so that when those current blocks are called, they get additional things. They get a settings array that comes in during hook block view, and they get a context array that comes in during hook block view. And even though that entire hook-based system for hook viewing and editing and saving is all a little bit crufty, like it's probably not how we would build it out today if we were to start it from scratch. From a compatibility standpoint, it'll be really great that all of the existing blocks will just continue working, but they'll be given like a settings array and a context array so that you can do stuff like place the same block multiple times on different pages in different regions and have different settings on different pages in different regions and things like that. So it's coming along. It's really looking pretty good. We're almost at the point where we can save an entire layout and then have it actually start affecting a page. So we're getting really close now. And then after we get that done, I don't know, we're going to have to figure out how we want to handle replacing the existing regions and layouts that used to be provided by themes. So
kill them all.
Kill them all. Yeah, so it's looking really good from a technical standpoint. I think we're actually going to get this done, which is really exciting. But we're going to need to integrate it into the rest of the system after we have the basics down. Right now, it's a lot like panels, where you've got the panels layout system and you've got like the theme layout system, and it's confusing having both of them on the same site. So after we get it built, that's not the end of it, because of course we need to replace the existing block system so that we don't have that conflict of like there's two ways to do the same thing. So it's coming along.
Sounds great. All right. Next thing we're working on is views and core. In it, we have had the core of views committed to the core of Backdrop for a while now, but we need to get all of our conversions underway. So we've got a bunch of views that are really going to be really easy to convert, and a bunch that are going to be a little bit harder. So if we have anyone who wants to spend some time working on converting views, we could definitely use some help with that. And then we've also been making a bunch of progress on config management. So we've also had config management's core committed to Backdrop for a while, along with a couple of subsystems. And now, thanks to Mr. Cat, we're working on converting all of the variables over, and we're also going to start working on converting some of the other subsystems over too. So that's really exciting to get some movement on that. And then we've got some other stuff we're working on too. We're trying to keep up with Drupal in terms of all of the things that are happening in Drupal 7. We're taking all of those patches and putting them into Backdrop, and it looks like we've made a bunch of progress on those as well, which is great. Had some activity there even while I was gone, so thank you to everyone who pitched in on those. And then we've also got a list of Drupal 8 backports. We decided a couple of weeks ago that we weren't going to do all of the changes that went into Drupal 8 because there's so many of them, but instead we're just focusing on key areas of things that we think are really important for Backdrop and making sure we're getting all of those patches in. So we've got a couple of sections left. HTML5, it looks like we're more than halfway through all of those issues. We've got some CSS cleanup, and we're almost done with all of those issues, and we've got some JavaScript patches too for cleanup, and we're almost done with those as well. So it looks like we're making a bunch of progress on those fronts with Backports from Drupal 8. And then under minor projects, there's a couple of other things that we're working on, including separating the identity of Backdrop from Drupal. We've already got all of our functions renamed. We've got a new logo. Things are starting to look a lot better. But we're also working on cleaning up the admin theme and introducing our own style guide, just to make sure that when someone installs a Backdrop, it does look significantly different from when they install Drupal. We want to make sure that we kind of stand on our own. And then we've got some user experience improvements moving on as well. We've started on some terminology updates, cleaning up and positioning things like the permission screen, making sure those are in the right place. So we've got a couple of incremental improvements going there. We're going to have a couple of more before we release. But of course, every time we change like the location of an admin page, there are cascading changes that go along with that. So all of our patches won't apply. So we want to make sure we get as many of our patches done as soon as we can, and then we'll kind of look at some of these also. And we're also going to try and get a rich text editor in right before we release as well, because it would be silly to not have one of those. So if anyone is really interested in getting a rich text editor in, we could use some help on that front also. And then the last thing, the theme system cleanup, and this also kind of goes hand in hand with all of the work we're doing on layouts, right? We talked about how having the block system and the theme system provide regions for blocks and layouts is going to be confusing. So I think some of the theme system cleanup is going to help with that as well. We've got a couple of new hooks going in that'll help us with theme hook suggestions. We can figure out how layouts replace block regions and all of that stuff too. So I guess we can get cracking on that as well. There's a couple of sub-issues that have already gotten some attention, but we need to kind of refocus on that just before release too. The next section of this meeting is for updates from the PMC. I'm not sure we have any of those yet, but if there are any issues that need to be escalated, we will address them and then review that decision here in this meeting. And we are also looking for new members of the PMC. So if you're an active contributor to Backdrop, we've probably got our eye on you. So just heads up on that. And then other things we're working on too outside of the Backdrop project itself include the API website, which we've had Luke kind of take over the reins for and start building one out. He's got some great ideas on information architecture, which will be really handy for us, as well as actually setting up the tool that parses our code and generates the API. So I think we're making progress on that. We need to kind of touch base with Luke and make sure he's happy doing what he's doing, but already progress from last few times we said we needed help. Now we've got help. That's great. We also are working on an update server. So this is so anyone who's running a Backdrop site can know if a module or a theme or a core is out of date. So we need to come up with a solution for that and start building it. We need a GitHub service, so anyone who creates a modular theme on GitHub can register it as a Backdrop modular theme, and that will allow our website to be able to aggregate all of Backdrop's modules and themes in a place that makes it easy for people to search and find them. And we also have our primary website, which right now is adequate, but now that we have a new logo, we want to kind of give it a little once over and make it match our branding. We'll probably be doing that about the same time that we release the product, and we'd also like to add the modules and theme sections I just talked about, as well as a showcase of existing sites that are running Backdrop. So every Thursday is Backdrop Day, and we have a little sprint in IRC immediately following this meeting. Sometimes it's immediately following a sandwich, which is immediately following this meeting. We will be in IRC to work on Backdrop for the rest of the day today. And then just in a week, we're going to be at DrupalCorn in Iowa. We're doing a presentation there on Backdrop, and we're going to have a sprint day where Backdrop is sponsoring not only Backdrop sprinting, but also Drupal 8 sprinting, because we believe we should all be able to get along together. And hopefully that'll be a lot of fun and produce a lot of good work too. And then early August, we also have Drupal Camp Twin Cities, or Twin Cities Drupal Camp, where we'll be doing the same thing. We'll give a talk on Backdrop, and then hopefully also a little sprint on Backdrop just after. Let's see. Is there anything else that we should add to this weekly agenda, or any questions that anyone has that should be brought up?
I don't think so. Nice job. You really breezed through it today.
All right. I talk fast. Probably twice as fast as when Nate runs the meetings.
Yeah, the last two weeks our meetings were like extra long because I talk half as fast.
Sorry, everyone. All right. Well, thanks to our viewers that are watching now, and thanks to the people that are tuning in later. I know we've gotten a kind of a huge jump in interest lately, at least according to emails and issue queues and Facebook messages and all of the other good stuff. So I think that's great. I think that people are starting to look at Drupal 8, people are starting to look at Backdrop, and people want to have a way to compare. People who like Backdrop are willing to help, which is really good, and I'm excited to see all of the new momentum lately. So thank you, everybody, for getting involved.
Okay, well, I think that does it for our weekly meeting. We have it every Thursday, so anyone that's interested in joining, please do. We'll be here online same time next week. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Bye.